Thanks to everyone who joined our Lunch and Learn today for Release 458. My name is Shona McRae and I'm the director of our Discover team. So joining me on the call today is Steve Cucks, our Customer Support Coordinator, and Shelley Bezanson, our Director of Release. So our theme this month is April Showers Bring May Flowers, and the blooms we are talking about are a bunch of customer-driven features. We're going to be spending about 15 to 20 minutes going over our new features, and then we'll have some time at the end for questions, comments, and even suggestions if you have them. If questions come up as we're going along, feel free to enter them in the chat box. Someone from our team will either do their best to answer it, or we might hold it until the end if it's a little bit more of an involved answer. So today we're going to start with our new leader commenting feature in the Discover dashboard. We'll then discuss the ability to host exchanges in multiple languages. And then we're going to end with our exciting beta program for machine moderation. So let me just jump over to our Discover dashboard. Maybe Shelley and Steve, let me know. That looks good.
Looks good.
Okay. I think we have quite a few leaders on the call who already run their own exchanges, and so they might be familiar with our leader commenting. This is where you respond directly to participant thoughts in order to share your perspective and to build engagement. Up until now, it's only been available in the ThoughtExchange app and in the leader report. So leader comments are now in the dashboard, and this makes building engagement and trust even easier. There's no jumping back and forth from the app. And this feature, it really gives you the ability to add your thoughts wherever inspiration strikes. They instantly appear in the Discover section in the app. So what we're going to do now is just take a quick look at how to add thoughts and a couple of use cases. So I just jumped over into the bars, and if I click on this bar, you're going to see a thought that I've already entered. Just takes a moment to pop up. Maybe a little bit longer on the call. Perfect, there it is. So all I have to do if I want to add or edit anything else to this thought, click and start typing. Really, really easy. So in the sample, you can see the thought is not only educational, letting people know about the district policy, but it also gives the participant an action to take if other changes are needed. So another place that you can add your thoughts, your leader thoughts, is in the differences screen. So, in the differences screen, you can see the group that we're looking at right now. The participants are split. They're split over keeping schools diverse and keeping kids in their neighborhood schools. So that's an opportunity to add your thought there. But what you could also do, jump over to the thoughts that were rated high by both groups and highlight that for participants. So you can see the comment that I've added here. It really lets participants know that they were heard, and that leadership heard what was important to them. And it also uses some of the language found in the thoughts to further reinforce that feeling of being heard. So just a couple of use cases for leader thoughts. You can also add your comments in the thoughts tab, exactly the same way that I've just showed you. Just click and start typing. It's also in tiles and even in heat maps. I think one thing that really bears repeating, once you enter a comment, it is live in the app. You might want to start a Word doc where you're doing your editing and then enter your final comment into the tab rather than doing a lot of editing live in your dashboard. So I think one other thing just to mention quickly about the leader commenting for this release, the thought will now pop up when you actually publish one of our summary reports. The comments show up in any visualization in the report. I'm just going to pop over right here. And you can actually see it's attached to the thoughts. It's attached to the thoughts in both the top thoughts list and also the tiles. As we continue to add visualizations to our summary report, there's going to be even more opportunities to share your own thoughts back with participants. I think one other thing to touch on, this is an option that is selected by default. So if you'd like to send out a summary report without leader comments, just make sure you make that adjustment in the settings tab. Okay. So just before I pass you over to Steve to talk about multi-lang, I just wanted to show one other smaller feature, again, driven by customer feedback. So you can see I just hit the theme tab. Now, what we've heard from leaders is that they want a quick and easy way to be able to read thoughts in just a single theme. And it's going to make your editing and your reviewing much faster and easier. So you can see when I open up this theme tab, all I have to click is show themed thoughts right here, and filter by theme pops up. I can select any of the themes for really easy reviewing and view all of the thoughts in that one theme. And so with that, I'm going to pass it over to Steve Cooks, and he's going to be discussing how fast and easy it is to now set up multi-language exchanges. Over to you, Steve.
Thanks, Shona. Great to have everybody on the call today. So yeah, as Shona said, I'm going to walk you through the new feature that we built in where you can create your own multi-language exchanges. So I will just share my screen here. While that boots up, engaging in multiple languages is a really great way to reach participants who may not have participated in your exchange otherwise. It's also a really nice way to have people feel more welcome if their first language isn't English. Just broadens your participant base, ensures that you'll get more diverse feedback. So I just wanted to show you quickly how to go through creating a multi-language exchange. And as you can see here, I'm in the create screen for that is hopefully familiar to many of you leaders on the call who've created your own exchanges before. The only difference that you'll see here is that we've added this languages tab. And if I click in here, since my exchange has not launched yet, I have the ability to, in addition to English, which is always selected, to activate French or Spanish, which are our two other fully supported languages. Or I can also toggle support additional languages to yes. This option here enables our ThoughtExchange web messaging application, which is supported with Google Translate to enable participation in over 100 additional languages. Virtually any language that's supported by Google Translate will be supported through the web messaging app when this feature is on. So again, these settings are available to you before you launch your exchange. So once the exchange is live, you're not able to add or subtract more languages. So you really want to get this right before you send your link out to participants. But when I've selected the languages that I want, all I have to do is click Save here. And then the difference that you will notice is when you go into the question and introduction section to write your question and introduction, you'll also have tabs for the other fully supported languages that you've selected. So here I've put in an example question and introduction, but I've also translated those just via Google Translate for the purposes of this call into French and Spanish as well. So it's as easy as that. With these other fully supported languages, you're able to come in and customize the language that you're using. So if there are regional variations where you are and how language is used, you can ensure that that's done just right and things are coming up perfectly for participants in French and Spanish. And when you're done there, all you have to do is hit save. So I'd like to also show you some changes we've made to the participant end, so just what it will look like for your participants when the exchange is live. So I'm going to launch my exchange here, and then I'm going to go in and participate in my own exchange. So what you see when you land here on the introduction page, where you get your preview of the question and the introduction text, is we've added this drop-down menu to change the language that I'm participating in. Which is great. It's a lot easier for participants to just select the language that they want to participate in. If my browser settings were in either French or Spanish, if that was my first language, that's what would appear here as a default. But since I'm set to English, I can choose to participate in either of those other fully supported languages, and I would see the text that I entered on that previous screen. But I also wanted to show you what that web messaging application looks like for participation in the Google Translate supported languages. So all I have to do for that is select the More Languages option here. I get a little dialog box that lets me know I'm about to launch the ThoughtExchange web messaging app. And I'll click launch. So basically what we're going to see here is a text-based version of ThoughtExchange, which includes the same preview of the question, that same introduction text as well. I get these few messages to start, but this one here lets me know that if I want to participate in a different language, all I have to do is enter the name of that language. So if I wanted to participate in German, all I would do is type German, and it'll translate for me, and I can participate in the language of my choice. So it's never been easier for your participants to share their thoughts in whatever language they choose, and the thoughts that they share in these other languages will be translated by Google Translate so that participants participating in English or French or Spanish or whatever language can see them, read them, understand them, and rate them. So that's really all there is to it. And with that, I will hand the mic over to Shelly to walk you through our beta machine moderation feature.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. Okay, in 4.5.8, we've extended our beta trial of machine moderation to include all exchange types. And before I jump into telling you the nitty-gritty of what this feature does, I just wanted to quickly explain what a beta trial is and why we do it. When we release a beta feature, we're making it available to a small group of users, and we typically target specific customers or exchanges to try it out under real-world conditions. And we do this so that we can learn how a feature needs to change or modifications we need to make in order to make it available to everyone. So your feedback, anybody beta trialing, their feedback is super helpful to us and shapes how we develop the future or the feature in the future. So what is machine moderation? It's another option that will be available to leaders. And you see right down here, enable machine moderation. Machine moderation means that we're using software to analyze and evaluate thoughts before they're shown to participants. And then based on this analysis, the software will either hide the thought, report the thought to the leader, or it'll approve the thought. And the software is looking for three different things. It's looking for bad language, rude or hurtful content, and thoughts that identify a person. For bad language, we have two lists, the bad words and the very bad, or the bad words and the very bad words. Thoughts containing bad words are flagged to the leader and would still be visible to participants. Thoughts containing very bad words, we would report and hide, so participants would never see them. And then to determine if a thought is rude or hurtful, we use an algorithm to calculate a toxicity score. And then depending on how toxic a thought is considered to be, the software would do either to report it to the leader or it would report and hide it from participants so they never see it. We also detect if a thought is identifying a person. If a thought's identifying a person, has a person's name in it, we report it to the leader. If a thought is identifying and also has been reported for rude or hurtful or bad words, then the software reports it and hides it so participants don't see it. All reported thoughts to the leader or thoughts that have been hidden are available to the leader in a Discover dashboard, where you can see this thought has been machine flagged, identifies a person, and as a leader, I can then choose to remove it or I can choose to keep it in the conversation. And I can also tell this particular thought is visible still to participants. This one has been flagged for identifying someone and has been considered rude and hurtful, and so this one's hidden from participants. So it's not available for rating. And as a leader, again, I can choose to remove it or to keep it. And then they'd move over to the reviewed tab when I'm done with those. And so we can appreciate it can be really vulnerable to ask people to share their thoughts in an open exchange. And we're trying to strike the balance between allowing every voice to be heard and ensuring a conversation remains constructive, positive, and respectful. Machine moderation provides a bit of a safety net, but it's important to remember it may not catch everything. There's no way machines are going to stay on top of Urban Dictionary, which is probably changing all the time. And we've also discovered that people can be incredibly creative writers when they want to be. So who makes a good beta candidate? We're looking for a leader who's engaged, comfortable with community moderation, and probably someone who's looking to discuss a non-contentious topic. And like I say, you come into the Moderate tab and you'd be monitoring to see how your exchange is going and what the machine's detecting. So if you think you'd be a good candidate or you're interested, reach out to your ThoughtExchange candidate or your contact, sorry, or email help@thoughtexchange.com. Thanks.
Great. Really appreciate that, Shelley. I know the machine moderation can feel a little bit confusing for people, all of the different options. So I just would encourage you not to hesitate reaching out. As Shelley said, help@thoughtexchange.com. And we're all willing to spend some time on a call with you, just talking through that feature again and really helping you make an informed decision. And thanks, the email address has been entered in the chat. So it looks like we have a few minutes left. And there's an opportunity now, if there's any questions about these features, any comments, even suggestions regarding the features you've just seen. We're always interested to hear customer feedback and customer thoughts. We'll just give you a few minutes. You can enter it in the chat box and we'll do our best to help you and answer any questions you might have. I think as we were going through this release, my section was on the leader comments. We were also talking through a few different use cases you could also use for that. So I might share a handful just as we're waiting for any questions to come in. They're a really great opportunity to show maybe alignment with the strategic direction. So when participants, when their thoughts are really aligned with the direction you want to go as an organization. Also maybe to show lack of alignment. A really great way to use them: recognition, ask another question of participants, and maybe even to let them know when you're hosting your next conversation. So those are just a few suggestions. And it looks like we have our first questions. So it says, will there be a cheat sheet of the new features? Oh, that's a great question, Suresh. I believe we have a little bit of a longer release notes, but we could definitely pull together a cheat sheet of the new features. We actually do have a cheat sheet of the community moderation or the machine moderation features. So we can send that out with the recording after the fact.
I wonder, Steve, if you can quickly get a link to the release notes.
I'm just about to post them in 1 second. So they'll be in the response to that Q&A. So you'll be able to see the full overview of everything we talked about today.
Perfect. And then another question, are the questions limited to 140 characters? Well, I believe we've upped that limit.
Yeah, it used to be 150 characters and now it's been bumped up. I want to say 300, but I'd have to double check.
What's your feedback around the 140 character limit, Suresh? If you'd like to share. We had heard that sometimes when you're doing the translation, you just don't have enough characters because French and Spanish tend to, use more characters than English. So that was part of the thinking behind that decision. It'd be great to know if there's another concern we're not addressing. Okay, yeah, wonderful. Then we're up to 300. And is that for this release, Shelley, for 458?
Yeah, it would be at 300 now.
Yeah. So for tomorrow, so the release is going out tonight. And so for tomorrow, we'll be able to help you with that. Great. Any more questions that we can help you with? Wonderful. All right. Well, on behalf of the testing team, I just want to thank everyone for coming out today. This was our first time doing a release event, and it was a lot of fun getting it ready. We hope it was useful. And we'll be hosting one of these for every release. And we really just try to touch on the features that are relevant for leaders and for the participants that you're working with. So, keep your eye out, come to our future release sessions. And again, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day.